Roe v. Wade.
Yes.
Man, oh man, oh man. I have been talking a lot about this with Dr. Sharice Janae Nelson, but I think it's really good that we get your opinion as a Black man who has talked about issues similar to this, or at the very least, we've had really great conversations about how when it comes to gender and politics, somehow Black men become the scapegoat, that is like, well, patriarchy is, you know what I'm saying? And we're like, how does that happen, right? So Roe v. Wade comes down. There's been a whole bunch of protests. A lot of people are showing who they are about it. So what are your, a lot? I mean, honestly, I think honestly, we need to start, in my opinion, this is Kayeni Abishiva's opinion. Take it how you want it. We need to start calling these 50, 40, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old politicians who say it is okay for a minor to be assaulted and have to carry out the pregnancy. We need to call them pedophiles. And then
co-parent with the rapist. Yes. After the rapist gets out of jail.
This is pedophilic talk. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is the talk.
Because you basically setting up a structure for it to exist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. You basically set up a structure for them to thrive.
Yes.
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times so all can build. Let's shine, yeah.
And I mean, it's so many tentacles to this Roe versus Wade thing, right? But we can start with the first thing. The first thing is that we know this is about trying to save the white population. I'm sure you guys know the numbers, but 60% of America's abortions have been white women. Mm-hmm. So for a long time,
62.
62. You're right. You're correct. 62% of abortions have been white women. So they are at large the largest group that have been aborting babies. But I think the thing they didn't factor into this decision was a lot of those white women who are aborting babies are aborting them because their white daddies don't want them to have Black babies.
I thought you were going to say because they were poor, just like the rest of us. I'm like, that too. But yes. You can't have fun in the sun no more.
Can't have fun in the sun no more. Can't get away with it. So guess what's going to happen? They're about to have a lot of mixed babies out here.
I think you're channeling Ida B. Wells on that one.
Listen,
let me hear.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you really think about it, a lot of the white women, they have not really been getting married a lot. Mm-hmm. And with more increasing numbers, they have been coming over to the Black side. Mm-hmm. And then those who can't officially right, and those who can't officially come to the Black side, they sneak around and get a little taste. And sometimes
give a little taste.
And sometimes that taste turns into an accidental pregnancy.
Yes.
So now you're gonna have like a lot of little mixed babies running around here. And I don't think they factored that in to this decision to try to save whiteness. And the other thing is, and as we know, because like you said, this becomes an economic issue because rich white women are still going to be able to get abortions. And women with the economic means are still going to find a way.
Right. Which rich, white, Black, Asian, Latino, whatever, they're going to have the means to do that.
They're going to have the means. So the ones who are going to suffer are the people below the poverty line, are the people who are barely making ends meet. And you would say they're middle class, which barely exists, right? Like a middle class family who has 3 kids, and also it's a shame. I'm hearing that even medical, like people who need them for medical reasons, won't be able to do it. So I saw a doctor say, he said, at some point, I'm going to have to tell a mother that she's going to have to carry a baby to term that's going to come out and die.
Wow.
And so these are the things, like I said, it's a lot of tentacles to it. These are the things that I know they don't care about it because you got 60, 70-year-old white men making these decisions, so they don't care about this. But we're talking about the real life application of what's going to happen. right? You're going to get a lot of young ladies who are going to still get hurt because they still going to go to the back alley abortions. And, you know, I know somebody said it on Instagram and it's a terrible joke, but I feel like it's going to be a real thing. But it's like abortions by Cassie. Hit me on my IG, how they do everything else illegal.
Ooh.
You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for real. Like that's going to be a real thing. So, and
It's
that
going to be
becomes,
a cottage industry.
and that's going to, you know, like
Yeah.
you have women trying to do BBLs at their house. You think they ain't finna do abortions at their house?
True that.
You see what I'm saying?
Or go back to doing them, right?
Or go back, right? Or go back to, so
Mhm.
you know, it's just, it sucks, and for so many reasons it sucks to me, because I know at the end of the day, those who are going to suffer, who always suffer in the medical industry, are Black women.
Mhm. Mhm.
Period.
And the irony is that the whole gynecological trade was built off of the experiments on enslaved Black women
That's right.
without anesthesia, right? And so it's like this, what do you want? This exploitation and this targeting of and bearing the brunt of being a woman in the skin that you're in still falls on a Black woman. That's heavy. That's really heavy. And also another point that Sharice, Dr. J. Nelson and I, Sharice, we talked about are the privacy issues that are going to roll out, because how do you monitor who is pregnant? Are they keeping the baby? Are they not keeping the baby? Are they doing it
Well, because
outside of the state?
so you know what that means.
Mhm.
Now they're going to start rolling back those Supreme Court privacy issues, laws, so they can find that out. Right. And then, because the precedent used in this, and I want people to really pay attention to this, because the precedents used to overturn Roe versus Wade, they're going to start to use this precedence for a lot of other things. So if you think this is the end, no, they're going to come for Brown versus the education, versus the Board of Education. They're going to come from equal opportunity hirings. They're going to come for gay same-sex marriages. They're going to come for contraceptives, which they already starting to do, because they like, well, if we ban abortion, that means we got to ban Plan B, because they already started in some cities.
Right, and so this is where, like, which now there's a limit to how much Plan B that you can purchase, because now there's these mass purchases that are going on, which also shows how everything gets capitalized. How
because now they're going,
because
they're going to try to sell it like Nike. They're going to be resellers.
Yeah, exactly. Like some plastic shoes that are like $200-$300, but yeah. So there, but this is crisis capitalism that's coming up, because tourism is going to pop in these states now that are offering abortion care, Airbnb. So all of these industries that are going to reap the profits. However, the communities of color, specifically the Black or browner ones, and the poor communities, because there are a considerable amount of poor white communities, are going to be the ones that have the least gain, if any gain at all. We have not even factored in domestic violence and how this will result or can result into these abuses that are going on. Yeah.
And also, I want to say to my brothers who think this is not going to affect them, you're going to be affected too. This is going to affect you as well. Because now, think about a married man who has 2 kids, 3 kids even, and you can only economically take care of 3 kids. You almost gonna have no choice. Like, are you gonna start wearing condoms with your wife? Gotta think about these things. I'm just
And also it's beyond even, there's a litany of scenarios in terms of the impact. Dating is going to change, courtship is going to change, and also I would not be surprised if these assaults go up, because women are going to be more keen in terms of
not having sex. Yeah.
Because if you have a country where the baby falls on you, right, as the person who's bearing the child, and you have no quality motherhood care, no quality in labor delivery, you don't have maternity leave, it is so anti woman and child, or mother and child, right? So you're gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna be very picky. I'm going to be very, very, very picky.
Yes.
Yeah, this is, yeah. So I mean, so that's that. And then the other ramifications that happen. So have they determined what they're going to do if somebody is pregnant and they identify who the father is? Is there going to be like immediate child support, or is the father going to be placed under surveillance too?
Of course not. Of
You
course
know?
not. Of course not. Because
Yeah,
that means some of the dudes who changed the law is going to be placed under surveillance.
oh my goodness, they should be right there. I'm gonna tell you about this is something that really happened when I used to work in Florida House, Dame, Florida House in Tallahassee, and I worked there for one session. These are for all of you. And one day, I remember I was walking to, this is back in the Disney, this is 98, and I was walking, I was getting that, I don't know if they still do it, but back then they printed out the bills, and bills would be like this, like thick.
Right.
So I was getting it, and I was walking out of the place, and a political person, like a state, he must have been a state house official, a black guy, comes to me and starts talking all this nasty, disgusting stuff, and then fills me up. All right. I remember I had on my favorite orange suit. I was in Florida, y'all forgive me. So, but I was a catch, and fills up on me, and I drop my thing, and I slapped the shit out of him, and he was stunned. And I know I said whatever I said. Look, I was 22 at the time, so I was fire red hot, and picked up my stuff. But lo and behold, there had been word passed around that I was one of the session girls. So what's a session girl? A session girl were the sex workers that would come during this, and session is the time where you vote for all the bills, and it lasts for about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on, I guess, maybe how many bills we pass. But these are sex workers, but these are women and men, but a lot of women who come to the Capitol and post up for whatever the duration the session is, and are basically the girlfriends and the wives, the proxy girlfriends and wives of all of the of the Congress people.
Of course.
Do you know how many babies comes out of session other than STDs and STIs? Right. So when people say it's really interesting that these bills or laws are being passed, when we know you probably got about 30, terminated pregnancies that you done paid for. I'm in the academy. Do you know how many people I have heard, saying,
I can't imagine.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so you have that. My question is specifically, what has been the conversation with Black men about Roe v. Wade from your vantage point?
I've seen some Black men say, oh, we're finally going to start saving Black babies because so many, Black women have been aborting babies. But I also, and I would rebut that with, do you think out of all the things that this country has done to us, that this was done to save Black babies? Like, do you really believe that that's what's happening and that's what's going on? And I've seen a lot of course, insensitive talk, but then I've seen some very intelligent talk of nuance, like what people are saying, like, listen, if your religious beliefs tell you that you shouldn't do that, that's fine. You can be pro-life, but if I don't believe in that same book and I don't live by those same rules, why are you getting to, designate your religion to my life? You know what I mean? How do you get to legislate my life based on your religion? And Quincy made a great point. We were talking to some people who were like, well, I'm a Christian, so I'm glad the country is being run like on some Christian values. He said, that's cool. So when some Muslims come into office, you're going to be cool with them running the country based on their religious beliefs? Oh, now it's different. So it's like, do you believe in the Constitution? Do you believe in freedom of religion or not? Or do you think everybody's supposed to land under Christian rule? And that's the other ramification of this, because now you have a Supreme Court who's going to start ruling based on their religious beliefs.
Right. Ultra Christian. I don't even know if you even want to call this Christian at this point. Let's call it ultra slave master.
Slave. Anytime it's that slave, I call it evangelic.
Yeah.
The evangelic court, evangelic conservatives. So the country is going to be run by evangelic conservatives and legislating based on their Christian values, right? So that's another thing we have to look at.
Yeah. What has been, because I know you are closely tied to the church, you coming out of the church, and as a musician who was what part of the choir. Are Black churches addressing this issue?
Yes, I have seen. I got to give a big shout out to Dame Crawford, who has ECM. He has a church called ECM.
What does ECM mean? That's a messed up. So you don't even know.
I know, and it's slipping my mind. I'm gonna look it up, but I'm gonna look it up while we're talking.
Okay.
But he even, he said something very thoughtful, because he was basically saying like, we want to support our sisters, Experienced Christian Ministries. There it is, ECM, okay. Experienced Christian Ministries. But he was saying like, we want to support everybody in their decisions, and he said of course we will pray that they will have the child, but if God leads them to another place, we have to support that too.
And who are you to be, what is it, judge, jury, and executioner?
Exactly.
In anybody's life decision. But also, let me also bring up the point, and I cannot emphasize this enough, because there's such a serious disparity in healthcare. Unfortunately, the only time that most communities of color and poor communities, women, see a doctor is for birth control, is to prevent pregnancy, not at the point where they get pregnant. People don't understand that when you go to a clinic that specializes, I'm sorry, I don't know what the hell my neighbor's doing if you heard the knocking, my bad, who specializes in reproductive health care, they're also looking at the womb. People don't know it's so important. And then on top of that, the womb is like your heart. It's like your kidneys. Well, being that if you get cancer or you have your uterus ruptures or whatever happens, you've got to go to the doctor. So reproductive care, there's a specialization, right, in terms of just taking care of that part of the body. But when you're only going and getting a checkup and seeing if everything is right in that area of that region of the body, and you only do it because you're getting birth control, then that honestly will increase or will contribute, in my opinion, to the increase of cancers and all these issues, right? We don't talk about that. Another thing is that men go to the clinic too for free condoms as well. They can get tested and they can get checked out and so on and so forth as well. So, I mean, these are also things that people don't think about in terms of, what does this mean, this erosion of rights? And we know that the women are more, assertive in birth control and contraception, right? So, taking that away only, to me, further diminishes a woman's ability and power to make decisions that are right for her and her family.
And to take care of herself, even, right? Because like you said, because even in dating situations now, because even if you like, we gonna kiss a little bit, we get into it, but now I want to stop, like, that's gonna cause so many other problems, you know what I mean? And I want to read Shep's exact quote, so I don't misquote him, but he said, as a minister of Christ, my heart goes out to all of the women affected by today's Supreme Court decision. It is not my prayer for you to not have a choice, but to be connected to God and making a choice. And I'm saddened today because you are. And I think that's the best way you could deal with it, kind of like keeping your stance on how you feel, but also understanding that, there's probably a lot of women in your congregation who are going to have deal with things and have issues that are outside of your scope.
And big up to, I don't know if he's pastor, bishop,
Pastor, yeah.
Pastor Shep Crawford for saying that. This type of discussion that we're having, to me, is a prime example of why so many people have left the church. You know, in incidents like these, or instances as such, where the church needs to actually be very full, very upfront, and have this important discourse with their congregations and their communities. Like, what does this mean spiritually? What does this mean according to our doctrine, and so on and so forth. If this was a Muslim country, abortion would be legal, FYI.
Yeah.
Roe v. Wade coming down, and as you said, other things are more
Coming
so
down the
likely going
pipeline.
to roll out. There was another decision that they made, and I forgot to pull it.
Oh yeah, another decision they made in the midst of this that a lot of people forgot about. The Supreme Court has said that you no longer have to be read your rights by the police, the Miranda rights, and you can no longer sue because the police didn't read your rights. And if people don't know, if you didn't read your rights and you know your rights, a lot of people were able to get their cases dismissed because the police didn't read them their rights. So they took information and tried to use it in court based on false pretenses, and before they read their rights. So I'm telling people now, learn the Miranda rights for yourself. Know your rights, and know the biggest one is your right to remain silent. If they don't want to read you your rights, remain silent and ask for a lawyer. And so yeah, that's what that was the other decision that came down sneakily, during this whole thing.
In the gun law, the expansion of the Second Amendment. We talked about that with Sharice, and there was another one too. Ineffective counsel, that you cannot bring new evidence to a case on a federal level if you discovered that your lawyer was a douchebag, right? So people might say a douchebag is pretty, what do you call it, sexist, but okay. So and there's another one that came down a couple of days ago, and I saw it, and I didn't write it down. So SCOTUS is busy. And I don't think people understand that SCOTUS decisions have generations of repercussions, right? Effects, right? This is generations, which, here we go. I'm calling out to boy again. Here we go. Has been a call for Biden to expand the Supreme Court. He has said no. Your thoughts?
Well, one thing, Democrats, I think the Democrats like being losers. Democrats like being losers because this is a moment where I don't think Biden understands your legacy is going to be tied to this Roe versus Wade decision. And if you don't do nothing about this, no matter what else you do in your presidency, you will be seen as one of the biggest failures in history because this came down under your presidency. And also, it shows the lack of connectivity he has to the country that he won't even show. But somebody said something very interesting. They said, like, even the old white Republicans, even the old white Democrats are just the children of Republicans.
Good point. Well, I was going to say, he basically is a Republican for a very long time in a Democratic suit, suit.
Yeah.
If you understand his legacy, in politics.
And if he doesn't do this, if he doesn't try to expand the court, if he doesn't try to get that filibuster killed, he can say goodbye to anything he thought was going to happen in the midterms, and he can say goodbye to the next presidency.
Which I think a lot of the conversation is now starting to be, is he intentionally creating this chaos? Because at this point, it really seems like,
I don't think so. I'm gonna tell you what I believe. I think he truly and really believes shit is the way it was 20 years ago when he could go reach over the aisle and talk to Republicans and get things done, like when it was politics as usual. And he don't understand that.
Ain't nobody talking to your old ass.
Right, like he don't understand. Like
excuse me,
they're not fucking with you no more. Like it's not that anymore. Like since the dawn of Trump, that kind of politics is dead.
It's dead.
That kind of, but I think he's still, like you say, he that old ass dude who don't know that shit has changed and shit has moved on. So he's still trying to operate. We need to unite the country. We need to reach over that. bro, that shit is over, son. You need to figure out how to take care of your folks. You know what I'm saying? And I think I don't think he's creating the chaos on purpose. I don't even think he's that smart. I really think he's stuck in I don't think he's smart enough to do that. I think he's stuck in a time where he really thinks he can legislate and he could run the presidency by the old, by golly, you know, gosh, Wally days where he could I can go talk to my friend who's a Republican and we can have a sip of bourbon and we can hammer out some detail. That we're not there no more. We're not there no more.
So I would say on that point that you make, how is he different than Trump? Because presidents are supposed to have surrogates, and these surrogates are supposed to provide counsel and insight. What are his surrogates saying? Right? Is he not listening to his surrogates, or is he like, damn these surrogates? Either way, it's a bad situation.
Yeah, that I don't know, because I don't even really know who's his biggest advisor. Like how we knew Stephen Miller was Trump's biggest. Like I don't even know who his Stephen Miller is. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know who his Stephen Miller is, so I don't know who he's listening to, but I feel like whoever it is probably another moderate. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's probably another moderate in the room. So listen, if you can't take something like Roe versus Wade, where they say 67% of the country agrees that Roe versus Wade should be a law, and you can't capitalize off of that as a party, it's a wrap. You're doomed. If you can't use that for messaging to win some midterms, if you can't, you know, like, yo, if y'all want Roe versus Wade turned over and made codified into a law, Democrats will do it. If you can't use this messaging to do that, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it.
Right. And as well, I think there is it's not necessarily a false narrative. I think it's like largely incomplete, with people saying, oh, you didn't vote Hillary into office. This wouldn't have happened if Hillary was in office. That might be true, that this might not have happened. Certainly other things would have happened, but this could have been codified way before the Hillary Clinton Trump.
I'm gonna tell you who I'm pissed at that nobody talking about, and I know it's probably in bad taste and we're not supposed to say it. I'm pissed at Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Come on now. Why didn't she say she?
Because Obama said, ma'am, sit your old ass down so I can give somebody else your seat. And she think, oh no, Hillary gonna win and I'll retire after she win. Look at us now. So I blame her too. People ain't talking about that, because we could have had that and Ketanji Brown coming in. Y'all would have, you know, Supreme Court would have been okay.
Sotomayor would have been in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Would have been okay. She blew it. Ruth gave, and being selfish. Ruth, like, you know, what? Pissed me off. Sorry.
Yeah, no. That is a very good point. That is and I was going to raise that point. I'm glad you brought that up. But there have been moments in the legislation, in the history of presidencies, where you had a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and Democratic Senate before this moment. You know, and so this is an anti-woman climate. Let's be real about it, right?
And let's say, and it's anti. And I want people to understand, it's an anti-woman's climate, and that means also a lot of the Democratic men are also anti-women too. Like, let's be clear.
There you go.
They old white men. A lot of them are old white men too.
Right.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. So let's just, you know.
So August, September, October, now 4 months. Woo! What can be done between now and November other than pray, burn some sage?
Get behind those races that you know you can win. Stupid ass Democratic, what they call it, the ones who back the Democratic convention. You go get behind those races that can be won, so you can try to at least keep the House and the Senate. That's really all you can do. And if you are smart, you will run on, hey, we need these people to win if you want us to overturn Roe versus Wade. Don't talk about shit else, because y'all ain't getting shit else done. But if y'all don't talk about shit else, but like, hey, we need a couple of more senators so we can get Roe versus Wade back the way codified in the law. That's what they run on for these next 4 months, and that should be the messaging. But of course, we know they're not going to do that.
Yeah,
because that's just not the Democratic way.
No. How do we, now we're at this? I don't even know if it's a crossroads. I think we've crossed the road. We've crossed the crossroads. It's the decision that was made is toe up to the flow up.
And can I say this too, Black women? Don't y'all hold this L. Don't y'all let them try to put this L on y'all. That's 53% white women voted for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This L is on them. Don't let them try to rope y'all into their bullshit. They cosplaying. Cosplaying as liberals when we know half of y'all voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm. Now they laid out across the damn lawn.
I seen a white lady talking about we need to start kneeling for the anthem because America ain't.
Look, let me tell you, this is very, 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 this has happened before. Let me explain. I was trying to say it with Sharice, but I think I had to kind of like sit down and mold it. This trend where a woman's issue follows a Black issue it has gone on forever. For fucking ever. Before you had the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement, then you had the women's liberation movement. You had the abolitionist movement, and then you had the women's suffragist movement, right? These are things that have been going on forever. I mean, even like in World War II, where you had the Black people in the military, fighting for protections, and then you have the Rosie the Riveter, and women working. So I'm saying this is a trend that always happens. So let me help those understand. These women's movements that are ran by white middle-class women, mostly, will take all of the strategies, the lingo, the language, the movement of what they saw in the Black movement and reappropriate it and make it this women's movement. Be very clear about that right now. And were these women banging with you or really articulating Black Lives Matter? Or in this now moment where it's a women's issue, will they preference and push a women's issue because affirmative action, which was supposed to initially benefit Black folk, benefited most white women.
That's right.
Right? That's so right. Be very clear. No, you can't bang out that you got me right there. I think we're gonna wrap this section up because I'm gonna
start preaching.
Shit. I'm about to go to this goddamn Women's March and start slapping.
Look, when I saw that post, we need to start kneeling because this country is in. I'll slap the hell out of everybody. Hey, listen, I can't take it.
I can't take it. Yes, but you see, do you see how much of a joke Black people's issues are in America?
Yeah.
The only reason why, in my opinion, that the last round of this angst or this call for equitability and all this other stuff is because so many white people and younger white people were like, no, this is getting ridiculous, right? Yep. For whatever reason, but yep. It's still such a joke. So much so that you Black people who said that they were Black people stole the money, ran off with the bag, stole the money, and ran off. Okay. So
yeah.
Okay, last thoughts on Roe v. Wade.
My last thoughts on Roe v. Wade are my male Black counterparts need to come out and speak because, as I said, I know this is going to affect our sisters the most, and we have to get behind them. We have to back them, and we have to support them in this and even though you probably think this is not something that affects you, trust me, it will affect you in so many ways that you don't even foresee.
Right, and let me salute brothers like you who are actually on this issue and standing with us and educating other brothers, because that's really what it takes. It's very appreciated. But back to your point, several months ago, or maybe even a couple of years ago, when we started doing the podcast, Black men have overwhelmingly voted on a progressive ticket than any other race of men.
Yeah.
And I mean, overwhelmingly.
Like overwhelmingly. That's why I don't know how we get placed in the patriarchal with the white dudes. I'm like, that's not us. We not doing that. But but I appreciate you. I appreciate you for recognizing that because the numbers say otherwise.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Arc Republic. If you like what you see and you like what you hear, you can actually keep this mothership going. How? You can make a tax-deductible donation in several ways. One, Cash App us at Arc Republic Media. And you can also go on our website, arcrepublic.com/donate. As well, you can also donate to our fiscal sponsor and our sister organization at Black Farmers Index, that is Cash App, or also go onto their website, blackfarmersindex.com. We are two Black women-owned media organizations who share our profits so folk can thrive.